Good morning. That's good. How terrific to see each and every one of you here, and how wonderful for us to join you in this very special event today. My name is Kathy Malamed. I work with Hospice of the Valley, and I wanted to just give a very brief history of our relationship with mindfulness at the Phoenix Art Museum. In October of last year, Hospice of the Valley and the Phoenix Art Museum initiated an experiment offering free weekly half-hour sessions in the sculpture garden, a beautiful sculpture garden at that point. We're still meeting 8 months later on Thursdays, noon to noon 30, and we meet inside because the weather is a lot better inside right now. It is a 30-minute session open to anybody who wants to come, and requires no preparation, no experience, just some curiosity and a commitment of 30 minutes as a gift to yourself and a toe in the water with mindful practice. Hospice of the Valley had been developing a focus on mindfulness for our staff and our patients and families for several years, and we wanted to expand this focus to include community healing, self-care, and well-being. We were aware that art museums across the country had been teaching and hosting mindfulness events as a way to augment and deepen the appreciation for art and the appreciation of art's role in healing. So it seemed like a good marriage, and it has been. Christian and the Phoenix Art Museum embraced the idea with great enthusiasm, and we've now, as I said, been meeting for about 8 months. And we invite anybody who's interested to join us on any Thursday except Thanksgiving. We could not be more grateful for the Phoenix Art Museum's creative and progressive support of community wellness and their hospitality to us in partnership with us in this endeavor. What a jewel we have in our community. In addition, we are honored to be united in purpose with Banner Health in raising awareness in our community of the benefits of practicing mindfulness and in welcoming our esteemed speaker today. I'm a social worker, so creative community collaboration is my second drug of choice. And this is, you're going to ask me what the first one is? Mindfulness practice, of course. So on behalf of Hospice of the Valley, thank you very much to each of you and to our collaborators for the opportunity to participate in what I know will be an inspiring event for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. My name is Christian Adame. I'm the Assistant Education Director here at Phoenix Art Museum. It's super exciting to see so many faces here for our guest, Dr. Barry Kerzin, today. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping reminders. Please take this moment to silence your phones or shut them completely off. We would really appreciate that. A brief reminder about the stickers you were all wearing. These stickers give you free access to today's discussion and meditation. If you are interested in exploring the museum after the program, which we hope you do, please make your way back to the Visitor Services desk in the main lobby to purchase a general admission ticket. You can visit phxart.org to learn more about all upcoming events and programs at the museum, including the mindfulness sessions, which we've been so happy to host since last fall. Here at the museum, and me as a museum educator, very interested in the idea of mindfulness, particularly as it relates to looking at and experiencing art. We believe the museum can be a place to slow down, relax, and spend quality time in the present with objects and other people. The average museum visitor spends only about 8 seconds with a single work of art. So imagine what you can accomplish in 8 seconds. Not a whole lot. We challenge each of you to spend more time than that, either today or the next time you visit the museum. There is a real power in slow looking and observation in changing how we perceive the things around us and ourselves. I do want to thank Kathy Malamed from Hospice of the Valley for facilitating the mindfulness sessions she has been doing since the fall, and a special thank you to Heather Mulder and the Banner Health team and Banner's Alzheimer's Institute, who we have a very long-standing collaboration with, about 8 years now, I think it is, for making today possible. So with that, please join me in welcoming Heather Mulder, who will get our program started.
Good morning, everyone, and I'm going to echo what has already been said. It's incredible to see such a response to this program that, honestly, when we started collaborating and discussing it, we were a little concerned that it was happening on July 7th in Phoenix. We didn't know what kind of response we would get for it, but it really shows that this topic and our esteemed presenter is an important subject to have covered here in the Valley. I'm not going to take any more precious time away from Barry's presentation, but I know that many of us have come from different walks of life to arrive here today. I would encourage you to visit the table outside of the hall to learn more about all of our collaborating organizations. As was mentioned, I'm from Banner Alzheimer's Institute. I know some of you are here because you have been impacted by dementia, and that's how you found out about this program. But I would imagine a lot of you came from different avenues. So please take the time to educate yourself about what these incredible services have to offer to you in case in the future you may need them. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce our presenter today. Dr. Barry Kerzin is an American physician and Buddhist monk. He received his undergraduate degree as a Bachelor of Arts and Philosophy from the University of California in Berkeley. He attended the University of Southern California Medical School, and he is a former assistant professor at Washington University School of Medicine. He is an honorary professor at the University of Hong Kong, a visiting professor at the Central University of Tibetan Studies. He is also the founder and president of Altruism in Medicine Institute and the founder and chairperson of the Human Values Institute, and maintains board certification in family practice. He has lived in Dharamsala since 1988 and serves as a personal physician to the 14th Dalai Lama, along with treating people in the local community free of charge. Following his ordination as a monk by the Dalai Lama in the mid-2000s, he has traveled widely, teaching and offering workshops in which he blends Buddhist teaching and his medical training, emphasizing the spiritual and health benefits of meditation and compassion. He has served as a research subject in neuroscience, research into the effects of meditation on the brain. Please help me welcome our presenter today, Dr. Barry Kerzin.
Thank you very much. One nice thing about being a monk is that your clothing allows one pocket. So you can't quite, lose things, but the pocket wraps around all the way. So sometimes things get lost in there. And I have to take one arm, try to go all the way around, all the way around to here. So that's what I'm talking about. That's my shirt. That's we call it a donka. So it's kind of like slashed here. So you can put all kinds of stuff in there. There's also one actual pocket, I guess like a man has in his shirt. I forget those days, but don't you have a pocket up here? So I have one inside. So that's the pocket. So I had to find this clicker. So I found it. Good. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very excited with what the response has been in the Phoenix community. First, from my longtime dear friend and fellow board member of Altruism in Medicine Institute, Dr. Garrett Riggs, and also Heather. I know Heather so well that I don't even know her last name, from the Banner Alzheimer's Institute. And the people here that I've met who've been working very hard, and I just met today, Christian and Heidi and others here at the Phoenix Art Museum, an incredible collaboration, incredible work to kind of get the message out. And then to all of you who have said, yeah, I want to know more about this, I want to meditate. So we'll do both. I'll talk for maybe 45 minutes-ish, and I have a few slides to show you. And then we'll take a short break, about 10 minutes, We'll reconvene probably around noon, and then we will meditate. I will give you a brief instruction on the first meditation, then we'll meditate together, and then at around 12:15-ish, we will reconvene in the Great Hall just outside the doors, and we'll do a walking meditation together. I'll briefly explain that to you. And then when we finish that, we'll come back in here about 12:30, 12:35, something like that, and we'll have a session for discussion, question, answers, that kind of stuff. And we'll try to finish everything, wrap everything up by 1 o'clock. So that's the program. Let's get going. Good. So I've given the title Mindful Living, okay? And I know mindfulness is becoming a household word. The term in English was first made popular by John Kabat-Zinn, who worked for over 30 years in a chronic pain clinic at the University of Massachusetts, taking care of people that had chronic pain, that headaches and backaches and abdominal pain, pelvic pain, etc., who had been to everywhere and found no relief. They came to John's clinic, and he basically taught them meditation, and he called it mindfulness. He called it MBSR, is the technical term, mindfulness-based stress relaxation, okay? And so we're going to do a meditation at about noon, I think around noon, which is something similar to the one that John chose to use for people with chronic pain. It's probably the most common meditation that's used around the world, certainly in the Buddhist and Hindu communities. So we'll do that together. Now, mindfulness has basically two different usages, two different understandings. There's a broad sense of mindfulness, and I call that mindfulness with a capital M. Okay? And then within that, there's a little more narrow understanding of mindfulness, which is meditation. Okay? So we'll kind of, as we go along, we'll talk more about that. The mindfulness with a big M, it's really mindful living. It's a way to, live a healthy life physically, a healthy life emotionally, and a healthy life spiritually. Okay? Now, spiritual health does not require religion. It's not, of course, anti-religion. It just means that it's available for anybody, whether or not you have a particular faith or not. And it's not unique, or it's not the exclusive domain of any particular religion, nor is it, the domain of any non-religion. It's really available for all human beings and possibly some animals, okay? So it's a way of living. It's really an attitude more than anything. I mean, sitting for 10 minutes every morning is wonderful in meditation, but quite frankly, it's not going to do much for you. Not right away. Slowly, it takes time. You're going to get a lot more mileage out of changing your attitudes, okay? And what I'm talking about there is from harm to no harm, okay? We're going to talk a lot about that today. That's what, to me, is where the rubber hits the road in terms of mindfulness. Anybody here ever get angry? Raise your hand if you've ever gotten angry. Huh? Anybody here never get angry? Anybody? Anybody? Sometimes there's one person. In America, usually not. We all get angry. It's part of being human, So, can you be loving and kind if you're angry? No. Okay. So, is getting angry, is it part of mindfulness practice? Huh? Is it? No, it's not. It's kind of opposite. So mindfulness is going to involve us being courageous, recognizing our anger, particularly when it's early, and then to do something about it. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay. So that's why I called it mindful living. We often go up to somebody and we say, Hi, how are you? And what does the person usually say? I'm good. I'm fine. What do they really mean? Let's look. Confused, betrayed, useless, and broken. Right? They say, I'm fine. But what's in their heart? Confused, betrayed, useless, broken, never good enough. I'm fine. What's inside? Never good enough. Okay. Fragile, anxious, I'm falling apart and you don't even notice it. Okay? You can relate to this, can't you? Let's see, where are we? Here we are. Pathetic, annoying, rejected. Anybody ever feel rejected? Huh? Anybody ever feel lonely? Right? Even when we're with people, feel lonely? A lot of us. And defeated. Anybody ever feel defeated? We feel that a lot. Okay? So, what we project, I'm good, I'm fine, may not mean that. I think this was from Ferguson, I'm not sure. Parents or relatives of the black man that was killed? I believe so. Thanks, Heidi. Turn it up a little bit. How are we doing now? Can you hear me in the back? Good. If you can't hear me, raise your hands or jump up and scream or holler or something, please. Okay. Anybody relate to this? Yeah, stress, too much work, huh? We all have that. You know, help. Okay. Anger. You ever feel like pulling out your hair? Or do you ever pull out your hair when you get angry? Yeah. We sometimes feel like that if we don't actually do it. Okay. Oh, jealousy. Arrogance. The sky's not high enough to get that nose up there, you know. Feeling better than others, feeling like we know more than others. Okay. So some of these things, I've picked a few of the biggies, anger, jealousy, arrogance, are obstacles to mindful living. And they're obstacles for our own happiness. Okay? And probably obstacles for those around us, their happiness. Okay? This is desire, attraction, always wanting more, never satisfied. Okay, two monks having a discussion. Okay. What do you do when you have freed yourself of all desire except the desire to be free from desire? I just thought it was a cute cartoon. I don't know. Okay, this is negative critical judgment. And often I put the word negative self-critical judgment. Okay? Anybody here ever get critical about themselves? Anybody here ever put themselves down? Okay, maybe I ought to ask it the other way. Anybody here never put yourself down? I'm not sure we'd get any hands. Maybe. Okay, we do that a lot. In fact, a lot of that negative criticism is subliminal. We're not aware of it. Someone walks by and we say to ourselves, even though we hardly even hear it, but it affects us. Oh, that's a terrible hairdo. That person thinks they're so smart. Really? You know? We do that a lot. Or ourselves. Oh, she's so gorgeous. I can't get it right. I'm just ugly. Or, wow, those words out of her mouth, she's really smart. Me, I can hardly open my mouth. Yeah, we do that a lot. And often it's subliminal. We're not aware of it. Okay? We may recognize it sometimes, but often the tip of the iceberg is what we see or recognize, and we have this whole iceberg underneath that we're not aware of. Okay, so what do we do about that? Okay, I'm going to talk soon, or I'm going to show you a slide soon about turning in. I think I used the word inward. Okay, and that's really a crucial key. That is mindfulness. It's being aware or mindful or remembering. The word in Tibetan is the same, tempa. It's the same word to remember as mindful. Okay? So it's remembering what's inside, right now, what's happening to me right now, in the present moment. So you kind of look inside, you get quiet for a moment, you stay in the present, you don't follow past stuff, you don't go into the future. Stay present and just look, you observe. What's the thought right now? What's the feeling? Okay? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling anxious? Fear? Or am I feeling relaxed, joyful? What am I feeling? Okay? And what's my bodily sensation? My body feel okay now? Or is there some pain or some tightness? Is there kind of this, joy that's circulating through my veins? What's the sensation of my body? Okay? So what am I thinking? What are my feelings? What are my emotions? Almost like feelings, but emotions may be a little different. There's an overlap there. Feelings, emotion, heart stuff. Okay? And what are the sensations in my body? To be aware of that stuff. And when we come up with something that's negative, that's harmful to myself or harmful to others, then a little red flag goes up. We say, okay, got to work on that. So we've got to learn ways to transform these negative thoughts, feelings, emotions into positive. Okay? Notice I use the word transform. I did not use the word suppress. Okay? Often we, encounter a harmful emotion we don't like, we just push it down. Okay? That's not healthy because it's not gone. It's going to come back. And often it comes back, whoa, stronger. Okay? So we're not talking about suppressing emotions. We're talking about actually changing them. Okay? Transforming. So in the old days, people used to churn butter. Where I live, they still do it. In the Indian Himalayas. Okay? They churn butter. They put milk or cream into a cylinder. Used to be kind of wood or bamboo. Now they use the PVC piping, big ones. And then they got a little, little disc, wooden, and a big handle, and they churn. They go chong, 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 right? And when they're done, what do they have? Butter. What happened to the cream? Got transformed, completely transformed. There's no more cream left. 100% transformed into butter. That's the analogy with transforming our negative emotions. There's nothing left when we do it properly. So for example, anger turns into patience or tolerance or even love and compassion. There's no more anger left when we do it properly. It takes training. Doesn't happen the first time we try, but we got to be persistent. We got to do it again and again and again. And then we'll be successful at 100% transformation of anger into patience or love and compassion. Okay? And I'll briefly talk about a couple techniques. There's only so much we can do in about 45 minutes. Okay. So, be here now. Anybody recognize this? Huh? Where did this come from? Ram Dass. Yeah, wow, great, fantastic. Yeah, when I was young, this was a great book for me. Be Here Now. Ram Dass, who, before becoming Ram Dass, he was Richard Alpert. Yeah, Richard Alpert. He was a psychology professor at Harvard University. Yeah, Richard Alpert. And he got friendly with another Harvard psychology professor by the name of Timothy Leary. And the two of them kind of dropped out and took a lot of LSD. Okay, Timothy Leary continued to do that throughout his life. Richard Alpert kind of woke up a little bit, went to India, and got a guru and started meditating. kind of changed his life through transformation, not through drugs. Okay, through meditation and mindful living. Okay, and wrote this book, Be Here Now. So present moment, so important to be in the present. Okay, not only when you're coming to this very beautiful Phoenix Art Museum and looking at the different artworks for more than 8 seconds in the present moment. Not only that, that's marvelous. That's a wonderful training and a wonderful way to appreciate the gorgeous artwork that's here. But also it's a way to train your minds and your hearts to find more inner peace and happiness, to be more in the present moment, be more mindful in the present moment. Be here now. So mindfulness, I told you the big M and the little m, okay? Mindful living, all-inclusive, attitudinal changes, no harm, okay? So we're transforming our anger, our jealousy, our arrogance, and all the negative emotions, the harmful emotions, transforming into positive. And the small m, mindfulness, is what we'll do a little later. It's meditation. It's learning how to, it's a type of meditation that we call shamatha. It's a Sanskrit word, shamatha. Some of you have heard it. It means focus or concentration. Okay? Make your mind like a laser. Okay? And then when we use that focused mind, we'll be able to go much deeper in positive qualities. Okay? We'll also be able to have our minds be much free of clutter. And as a result, we'll make much better decisions because we'll have less clutter and we'll have much more perspective. Okay, by learning how to focus our minds, staying in the present, staying concentrated. Okay? Two young people in one of our school systems, might be in Louisville, Kentucky. It may be somewhere else, I don't know. Now, in all the schools in Louisville, in Kentucky, they are, Greg Fisher, the mayor, who's a very open-minded, visionary mayor, has put this kind of education into all the schools. So the kids from 4 or 5, from kindergarten all the way up, they're learning a little meditation. This is a real photo, okay? They're learning compassion. They're learning non-violent conflict resolution, things like that, okay? So that's happening in our schools more and more. When I come back next year, I want you to tell me that it's now in many of the schools in Phoenix, Arizona, and Mesa, Tucson, and Sedona, etc., okay? So you're educators, you got your work to do, okay? But it won't be hard because now there's a wave of this stuff happening. You just got to hook in, network, and then just bring it in with your superintendents of schools here. It's very valuable stuff. Has nothing to do with religion, by the way, okay? This is stuff that's totally secular, okay? Otherwise, we can't get in the schools, and it wouldn't be appropriate because it would be one faith, other people would be maybe of another faith, and a third person no faith, so it's not fair. So this is for people of all faiths or no faiths, okay? It's for human beings, our children. This may be photoshopped, but, but you can get the idea here. Even in the midst of chaos, it's possible to focus, balance, center ourselves, okay? And the more we can do that, the more happy our lives. You know, imagine the next time our partner starts yelling at us, if we stay focused and centered, you know, and not react with anger, you know, feel like we got to be, you know, retribution, and just stay focused and centered. Imagine what our family life, our, you know, our community life, our nation would be like if people started learning this stuff, okay? So we're hopeful for the next generation or the generation thereafter, after kids grow up with this stuff, so they have alternatives when they feel upset or even feel angry. They have nonviolent alternatives that they've learned where they can turn to. I guess all you guys like me grew up with Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, Winnie the Pooh is a dear place in my heart. Pooh says to Piglet, "What day is it?" "It's today," says Piglet. Pooh says, oh, that's my favorite day. So the present moment, the present day, okay? So I think Winnie the Pooh and Milne, A.A. Milne, was that the author? Was really understanding this mindfulness stuff, okay? As was Shakespeare, actually. I have a quote, but I don't have it here. There's a lot of stuff in Shakespeare about mindfulness. I was a little surprised at that. There are some great poets like T.S. Eliot, writers and poets, who he wrote something called the Four Quartets, all about mindfulness, about centering, about being in the present. It's beautiful, the Four Quartets, T.S. Eliot. I used to read it so much the pages started falling out. That's a wonderful little, short little book. So to turn inward, okay, the idea is to turn inward to our inner life, just to look. People say, I don't know how to do it. So I say, just do it. It's not hard. It's just something you may not have done before. Just try it. Keep trying. You know, stay present. Just kind of look inside. What am I thought? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Emotions like that. That's all. Just do it again and again, and then it'll start to come to you. It's not that difficult. It's just something new for many of us. Okay, but very important. Yeah. So inner peace, where do we find this? We're talking about the 3 times now. The past, the present, the future. Where do we find inner peace? Sorry? Present. Anybody think we find it in the past? Raise your hand. Anybody think we find it in the future? Raise your hand. Sometimes I got a few hands there, but not today. Okay. Yeah, we generally find this inner peace in the present moment. Okay? Not in the past, in the present, not in the future. Okay? Before I talk about meditation, I want to talk a little bit about some of those antidotes I glossed over. You know, let's say you begin to develop this looking inward, ability, and you notice that you're getting angry. Okay? When we work with anger, particularly anger, we got to find it early. Once it's full blown and you're pulling your hair out like the picture, okay, or you're totally red or you're screaming, you can't do much. You tell yourself, okay, maybe next time I'll try to work with it. Once it's full blown, it's, the what do we say, the horse is out of the barn? Is that the expression? Yeah. So the trick is to find it early. So what do you experience early before you get full-blown anger? Tell me. Sorry? Irritation. Good. Thank you. What else? Fear. Frustration. Other one? Sorry? Sad. Thank you very much. Yes, please. Tightness in the chest. Very good. Please? Huh? Violence. Very good. Thank you. Yes. Impatience. Great. What else? Huh? Disappointment, anxiety. Thank you. What else? Fear. Thank you very much. That's a biggie. Often goes with anger. Yeah. What else? Sorry? Annoyed. Good. Anybody have their heart going like boom, 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 boom? Sometimes that happens. Or our breathing. Yeah. Or stepping out. Well, here it doesn't work here. But stepping outside and have sweat. Here you do that even if you're not getting angry. So it's important that each of you look inside, see what the early signs are for you. Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it, rapid heartbeat or breathing fast or, all these things you mentioned. See what the early signs are with you. Get familiar with that. And then be on the lookout. When those early signs, you start to recognize those early signs, act. So what do you do? How do you act? So let me give you one. There's many methods. I'm going to give you one. I'm going to give you 3. Okay, the first one is, if you're getting angry with somebody else, sometimes we get angry with ourselves. But let's say you're getting angry with another person, okay? Immediately I say to myself, I say to myself, okay, not out loud, that other person's not happy. I know that because the other person is probably part of at least the provocation. People that provoke are not happy. Okay? So I know the other person's not happy. Usually I don't know why. Sometimes I may know somebody close and I know what's happened, but often I don't know. So I say to myself, okay, relationship problems, they had a little fight. Economic problems, I looked in their wallet, nothing was there, okay? Health problems, you know, they woke up with a headache for the last couple days and they're worried they're dying with cancer, okay? Happens to all of us. Or they have some serious illness and it's taken a turn for the worst, okay? You know, I think this way. They could have had relationship issues, financial issues, health issues. So just taking about 30 seconds to review that in my mind, what happens to that incipient anger? Has nowhere to go. It dies on the vine, it dissipates. Doesn't get suppressed, it evaporates, it disappears. Now the first time you do this, almost guaranteed, won't work. Got to do it again and again and again. If you're persistent, I mean, I can't really guarantee you, but it does work. I can tell you from personal experience and experience of many other people. These things work, but you have to be persistent because your mind is so habituated to the opposite of just getting angry, you know. So we got to spend time again and again training in the opposite. Second method, embody that emotion of anger, the feeling of anger. Embody it in a cloud, in an imaginary cloud, and imagine that that cloud is way over there in the sky, and imagine that the cloud is just drifting across the sky and then it just completely evaporates with your anger. Okay? Also, imagine that anger gets embodied into a crystal ball in your hand. Imagination. And imagine you turn it over and you let go and it drops onto a concrete floor, shatters into 1,000 pieces. That's your anger. It's gone. Okay? These are things that sometimes work. If one doesn't work, you pick another method. I'm going to give you one more. Okay? This comes from a sage who lived in India. He was a Buddhist monk and a teacher, a scholar, and a practitioner 1,300 years ago. His name was Shanti Deva. Shanti Deva. Shanti means peace. And Deva is kind of a celestial being, somebody highly realized. He wrote a famous book, A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. A bodhisattva is someone practicing bodhicitta, which is universal love and compassion. Okay? So A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, Shanti Deva, he gave an example 1,300 years ago. Somebody comes up to you and hits you over the head with a stick. I don't think we do that so much these days. Maybe, I don't know. We have more violent means, unfortunately. Or we use bad words. Okay. So here's an example. Someone comes and hits you over the head with a stick. What reaction do we have? Sorry? Hit him back. Yeah, we feel like hitting him back. Okay. Some of us may withdraw, okay? But we feel like hitting them back. We, just knee-jerk, we kind of revenge, we get angry at the person that hit us over the head with a stick. Shanti Deva said, what was it that actually hurt you? Huh? The stick. The stick made contact with your head. So Shanti Deva says, why don't we get angry at the stick? So when you use this technique, often you chuckle a little bit, like it's kind of funny, it's a little ridiculous, or it doesn't make sense. And just that pause to chuckle. Yeah? What happens to that incipient early anger? Dissipates, it goes. Okay? So these are some techniques you can use. Again, you use them again and again and again. You can use more than one, perfectly fine. And if you continue with them, they will work. Let's talk a little about meditation, and then we'll do some meditation. So what is meditation? We kind of briefly talked about it. I got 3 points here. Training our minds to be wholesome, positive, cultivating stability and clarity. These are technical terms. Stability is the opposite of distraction. Anybody have distracted mind? Yeah? Most of us do, yeah? Mind kind of jumps here and there, you know. So the opposite of that is mental stability, okay? Focus or concentration. And clarity, this is clarity of the mind. You have to kind of taste it. It's hard to talk about it. Where the mind becomes extremely bright and clear. And from that place, you can make incredibly good decisions. You can see so much. And our mind gets absorbed into the object. Okay? So for example, spending more than 8 seconds looking at a beautiful piece of art in the Phoenix Art Museum, your mind will start to become one with that art object. You won't notice yourself or the art object as separate. You'll merge. Okay? We do that with music. We do that with a math problem, those of you that are inclined to math. If you're not inclined to math, you do the opposite. Okay, whatever you're inclined to do, if you're quilting, you know, you get into your quilting and you kind of merge with the quilt. The quilt and you and the process of quilting kind of become one. So that's one of the other qualities of meditation, okay? Qualities of the mind that happens in meditation. Okay, okay, good. So there's 2 basic types of meditation. The first is called shamatha. It's a Sanskrit word, or concentration, sometimes called calm abiding. It's a literal translation. Sometimes it's called focused meditation. So it's kind of making our mind like a laser, okay? And there are several objects we can use, the breath, and that's what we're going to do in a few minutes. Okay, so I won't say much about it now. We're just going to focus on our breath, and for our meditation will be here at the base of the nose. That's where we're going to focus on our breath. Okay? You can also have a mental image of, like a Buddha, or if you're Christian, of Jesus, or whomever is important if you have a faith tradition. And that's an image that can be at the heart, size of the palm, size of your hand, or on the crown, or facing you at your eye level. Okay? Imagine a mental image, okay? Not a painting or a statue. Or the mind itself, that's more tricky. You actually don't focus. It's a non-referential. Your mind and your senses are wide open, but you're not focusing or engaging anything. Okay? That's kind of on the mind. Maybe at another time we can go into that in more detail. The second type we call analytical, sometimes called contemplative. So we actually think about a prescribed topic. Okay? Some of you have the idea that meditation is no thought. Well, for the first type, that's true, for concentration meditation, but not for the analytical or contemplative. There we're actually thinking. So we have not thinking about anything, but topics like suffering or compassion. Compassion is the relief of suffering, the wish and engagement, activity of relieving suffering. Or we might talk about change, impermanence, and death. Okay. Or we may think about the Buddhist wisdom that we're not who we think we are, so-called emptiness. Okay. I'll have a few words at the end on that. And if we do one of these contemplative meditations and we get a feeling, a taste, let's say we're meditating on compassion and we're thinking, for example, we all share something very important, thinking this way in our meditation. We all want to be happy, none of us wants to hurt. And then by thinking that way, you start to feel some love and compassion. Then you shift over to the first type of meditation, the concentration meditation, and just concentrate on that feeling of love or compassion. Okay? When that kind of, when that's finished, when it's no longer there, you go back and start doing the, refresh your meditation with the contemplation. Again, think about it. If you get a taste or a feeling or a sense of aha, like a light bulb going off, stay with that. Okay? So you alternate. Can we have the lights down a little bit, Heidi, in the front? Thank you. This is it's a MRI, a magnetic resonance imaging machine, and this is they're actually doing functional studies, watching the blood flow. Okay, and this is my brother. Could be me, I don't know. This was at the University of Wisconsin in Madison about eight years ago-ish. And this is Antoine Lutz, one of the premier researchers, neuroscience researchers, at that time working for Richard Davidson, one of the most senior and premier neuroscience researchers, University of Wisconsin, Madison. And I just came out of 2 or 2.5 hours inside that scanner, and they asked me to meditate. There were different meditations, sometimes not to meditate. Any of you, some of you have been in these machines, or you've been with people, they're noisy. They go bam, 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 bam. You know, I mean, much louder than that. We had earplugs, but you could still hear it loud. So we're told to meditate. And afterwards, it was kind of a little bit joyous, because I got to meditate. I didn't have to do other stuff like, you know, it was nice. So what they found from that research was something about this PFC, the prefrontal cortex. So this is a side view of the brain. This is the front. This is the back, okay? So the spinal cord comes down here, okay? So in blue is this big part right here, okay, behind your forehead, called the prefrontal cortex. And they found changes here in long-term meditators. So this study was done with about a dozen long-term meditators. Admission criteria, 10,000 to 60,000 hours of meditation experience. And those people had larger PFCs, prefrontal cortex. And based on the blood flow, dynamic studies, there was more activity. So bigger, more active prefrontal cortex. So why is that important? Well, that's called the executive control area, okay, of the brain. Executive control. Things like planning, reasoning, imagination, creativity. Not exactly self-identity, but a sense of who we are happens there. Socialization happens there. Empathy or even compassion happen there. They happen in other places in the brain, but they're prominent in the prefrontal cortex. So all these qualities presumably have been enhanced through through long-term meditation. They did electroencephalography, EEG studies. So they poured a bowl of spaghetti over my head and our heads, and they measured the electrical, impulses coming from the 1 to 1.5 centimeter, half an inch-ish of the cortex of the brain. And they found some very interesting things. They found this, gamma activity, gamma waves. And these are high amplitude, so they're like this, spikes. And they're high frequency, so they're short in duration. And there were bursts of them, like you can see here. These are bursts of gamma waves. Here, 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 all this stuff, okay? And that happened diffusely all throughout the cortex, not just in one area of the brain, but right, left, front, back. They don't know what it means. Initially, they thought the meditators are having convulsions. They're seizing. Obviously, it wasn't true. There was no tonic-clonic movement. But then they thought, okay, maybe these are different kind of seizures, temporal lobe seizures where you don't really shake. They quickly ruled that out. Then they thought it was muscle artifact in the face or the scalp. Maybe the meditators were very intense and their muscles were kind of contracted. They did a lot of work, and they've factored that out. It's not muscle artifact in the head, scalp, or face. Now what they're left with, what they think is some kind of synchronization throughout the cortex. So this is something very new. If I asked my friend and colleague, Dr. Riggs, who's a premier neurologist, I'm wondering what he's going to say. I'll have to talk to him about this. My guess is he'll say, can't be. Because that's not what we learned in medical school. We learned that the cortex can maybe have some communication, a millimeter or something like that, but across the whole cortex, But that's what they're finding, and this has been published in PNAS, the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, and in Science and Nature, the most prestigious neuroscience journals in the world. So these are peer-reviewed, they've been accepted, and many articles on this are now appearing there. So, you know, there seems to be some, at least credibility, and in some quarters, acceptance. But it's still an open question. Okay, I want to just say a couple more things and then I'm done. They stressed people, two groups of people. One group got some compassion training in Tibetan Lojong for a couple weeks, and the other group was a control group, got some health education, okay? And they stressed them. Basically what they did is they put a mic in front of your face and they said, talk to 1,000 people, okay? People went, yeah. So it's called the Trier Social Stress Test, TSST. Okay, and there's the mic. Okay, this is what they found. On the immune system function, they found after 90 minutes, after stressing them, you know, the microphone in the face, okay, they looked at interleukin 6. Okay, it's a chemical in the blood related to the immune system. It's very complex, but basically has an inverse relationship with the functioning of the immune system. Higher the IL-6, the worse the functioning of the immune system in general, and reverse. The lower the interleukin 6, IL-6, the better the immune system is functioning. And they found, this was published in Psychoneuroendocrinology a few years ago, 2009, the more meditation you do, the lower the interleukin 6, the more healthy the immune system. That's one study they've done. There are many others. I picked another one on stress reduction. Here they looked at serum cortisol levels, another chemical hormone that's related to stress in the blood, in the body. And you can see that in this period, these are the people that got the compassion meditation, the circles or balls, and the squares are the control group that got the health education. And in this window of about 30 minutes, there was a statistically significant lower levels of cortisol. So they concluded less stress from meditation. From compassion training. This was compassion training. There are similar things done with meditation. Okay, shifting the focus away from me. Okay, I, and iPhone. We all share this fundamental quality. We all want to be happy and none of us want to hurt. Okay, we usually look at differences. You know, gender differences, age differences, ethnicity differences, educational background differences, economic differences, socioeconomic status difference. I mean, you name it, we have differences for it, okay? And we look at those things. We distinguish ourselves from others, all these differences, okay? We create distance between others by looking at differences. I'm not saying they don't exist, but what I'm saying is there's a fundamental commonality that's more important. And we tend to forget this, so let's be mindful of this fact. It's very important that we all want to be happy and none of us wants to hurt. So every time you meet someone, I want you to have that thought. Just like me, she wants to be happy. Just like me, she doesn't want to hurt. Okay? Same thing with he. And when you meet someone, think that way, that we share this commonality, all want to be happy, neither of us want to hurt. And the more we do that, we'll develop more closeness with everybody we meet. And when we develop more closeness, what's going to happen? We're going to feel more love and compassion automatically. Okay? It's powerful. But one thing gets in the way, and this is a talk for another, just a teaser for another talk about Buddhist wisdom. What gets in the way is ignorance. We think we know who we are, but we're wrong. We don't know who we really are deeply. Okay? And that has to do with what we call ignorance, not knowing correctly. Okay? Actually, we're like a dream, we're like a reflection, we're like a mirage. Everything is like a dream, a mirage, a reflection. Appears one way, but exists another way. Okay? Like the image in a dream. When you wake up, you say to yourself, oh, I was having this wonderful dream about my friend, and we were laughing, and we were joking. Oh, I'm waking up, and where's my friend? Oh, wait a minute. That was just a dream. Nothing real. Same thing. Okay? When we wake up, we recognize that everything that appears to us, including our ego, who we think we are, it's wrong, it's false, like an illusion. Okay. David Bohm was one of the greatest physicists of all time, maybe not as great as Albert Einstein, but nearly. Very dear friend of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. They were very good friends. He was not a religious person. He was a scientist solely. He said, there's no objective reality, only events and processes. Okay? We're not who we think we are. Ignorance is not recognizing this. Things appear in one way, but they exist in another way. So mind the gap between appearance and reality. Sometimes check in, see if actually appearances are real. We take appearances to be real, right? Did anybody walk into this auditorium in the beautiful Phoenix Art Museum thinking, I wonder if that auditorium's still going to be there? Anybody have that thought? Because we take appearances to be real. Anybody kind of think, okay, enough of that. Okay, good. So mind the gap between appearance and reality. Good, I'm just about ending on time. Fantastic. Christian and Heidi will be happy with me. Facebook, Barry Kerzin. It's not chatting. Don't expect to chat. It's a public figure, educational. The kind of stuff we're talking about today appears every second day on there I post. So you're welcome to join. If you like the page, then you become a friend and you get the posts. These are the two groups that I've founded, and I'm kind of, one of the people involved in moving them along. Altruism in Medicine Institute. The website is altruismmedicine.org. altruismmedicine.org. And the second one is in Japan. For those of you that want to come and visit me in Japan, Human Values with an S, Institute.org. Okay. Thank you very much.